Welcome to the show. Welcome to Your Thought Life podcast. I am your host, Michael Anderson. Before we jump into our topic today, I want to encourage you to attend our Potential to Prosperity Challenge. It's going to be held entirely online for, again, 5 days. And in those 5 days, we are going to help you determine what is the chief mindset blocker that is preventing you from showing up in the world the way you want to show up, and that is halting your forward progress. It's going to be an incredibly intensive and immersive 5-day event. And again, I want to encourage you to sign up. You can use the Linktree link for more details. Today, we're talking about the hidden barriers to success. And more often than not, as I'm talking to people, I'm realizing that we fail to reach our goals because of unseen mindset blocks. And these invisible barriers are mental habits, they are beliefs, and they are rooted in fear, and they operate below our conscious level of awareness, and they're quietly sabotaging our progress. And these invisible mindset blocks take on many forms, from limiting beliefs like I'm not worthy to emotional baggage, unresolved trauma, and deeply ingrained habits, all of which we have talked about on this podcast extensively. These are very, very common for the vast majority of us. Each of us has a unique sort of journey that we have been traveling through. And the elements that we have been faced with on that journey come together to create the habits, the beliefs, the biases, and the day-to-day things that we do and how we even see life. And so today what we're endeavoring to do is to really sort of peel a couple of layers back and get to the center, to the gooey stuff, and find out what is it that is responsible for this and what can we do to overcome it. You have to know that mindset blocks, and them being, as we pre-stated, invisible, are components that are at work below the conscious level. So with your conscious mind, you're out doing all kind of stuff, making observations, creating memories and experiences. But underneath that, at the subconscious layer, this is where you are really unaware of what's taking place. And it's this unawareness of what's going on at the subconscious level that allows these beliefs, biases, and fears to play out like theater in our lives every single day. And you know that mindset shapes your reality. When the invisible blocks are present, they distort your perception. They change how you make decisions. And most certainly, we have declared and say again that they impact your day-to-day behavior. For me, they created resistance to change, and those things that I would be curious about, I shunned them because they would take me out of my comfort zone. A powerful statistic shows that mindset accounts for up to 80% of success in a person's personal and professional life. And this means that even the best skills or strategies can fall short if your mindset is holding you back. As psychologist Carol Dweck famously said, the view you adopt for yourself profoundly affects the way you lead your life. So identifying and shifting invisible blocks is key for us to adopt a growth mindset. And it's through this growth mindset and positivity plus the awareness component that we're able to literally break these and emerge a different person. But let's talk about that a little bit more, because that's the crux of what we need to do to move from a current state to a state that we desire. So how do we identify the invisible blocks? Here's some ways that you can begin to incorporate to change, right, how you perceive certain things, how you show up and behave when the subconscious is at play underneath the conscious mind. Look for recurring patterns, family. Look for repeated struggles or failures in your life. If you don't journal, I would highly suggest that you begin journaling. You need to put these somewhere where you can gain access to them and begin to make the type of deductions that we're talking about right now. These repeated struggles and failures are going to imprint upon the subconscious mind how it believes you are. And if you are speaking words, it's going to be a sort of compounding effect. But together, it's going to record how well or not you are or feel you are in a specific area. These repeated struggles and failures signal to the subconscious mind that we should do everything possible to prompt them the next time we have a setup that looks like this so they don't move forward. If you know that this is going to take place, I believe it becomes the more prudent for each of us to begin recording these repeated struggles and failures so that we see the setup taking place before the actual moment of execution. You've got 1001, 1002. You got about that much time to get in between the situation in your behavior or the stimulus in your behavior. If you're not aware of these patterns, these failures, then you will totally miss the opportunity and find yourself right back in the same pattern of behavior. Number two is you've got to pay attention to your emotional reactions. When something happens, when someone says something, when a set of circumstances fire off in your life, in your direction, and you have an emotional reaction to what has just occurred or said, you really have to take the time to unpack that. Awareness is the foundation of all personal development activities. Strong emotions like fear, shame, and anger always be observed readily, and they signal a hidden sort of block. They signal that invisible component that is not so clear for us to see. But when we turn awareness up and begin to think about why it is we're feeling the way we feel and why was that emotional response or reaction so pointed, when we begin to question how we do life like this, then we're able to see very clearly what our triggers are and what it is we need to go and work on. When you understand the reaction, your reaction will point you to the trigger. And when you know the trigger, now you know plain exactly what you need to do to get rid of it. Number three, reflecting on self-talk. There's just an abundance. This is probably a podcast in and of itself. And I'm sure with 350 episodes, we've probably tackled this a couple of times. But reflecting on your self-talk, understanding that how you perceive yourself from an identity standpoint and how you treat yourself has a huge impact on your ability to do the things that you need to do. But as it relates specifically to this topic, when you're listening to the stories that you tell yourself, because it is your voice, there is a profound imprint on the subconscious mind. We talked about it just a little bit in our opening, and we know that we repetition in information, beliefs, biases, which turn into behaviors. If you have storylines that are not serving you, if you have storylines that are tied to the past, or if you have storylines that are attached to fear, to shame, to anger, to frustration, to anxiety, all of these stories are quite believable. And for the most part, each of them will have some sort of compelling argument that will keep you looped in this cycle that you don't desire to be in. So ask yourself, are these recurring themes? We're always after patterns. I learned from Tony Robbins several years ago that pattern recognition as a mindset coach would be one of my absolute go-tos to help people understand and be very succinct about what's going on in their day-to-day lives. So passing this down, if you will, to each of you, you have to understand your patterns. You have to see what sparks them, what triggers them. What are the things that are being played out in your head, the stories, the narratives, the troubles, the past situations. What are those things that keep swirling around in there, creating for you these invisible mindset blocks? And once we know what they are, we can name them, then we can tame them. Neuroscience shows that early experiences and repeated thought patterns create strong neural pathways that shape our automatic responses. So if you ever wanted to know why do we need to reflect on self-talk and pay attention to the emotional reactions and notice recurring patterns, this is the reason why. These pathways can become mental grooves of sort that are hard to change without conscious effort. We repetition in, and then my job is to help you repetition out some of those things. And the research that we have today in neuroplasticity offers a tremendous amount of hope. And from a practice perspective, we know that this is evident and works like a charm. The brain can rewire itself through new experiences. And that's why I share with you, I help you to repetition out. And we're repetitioning out through intentional practices. And this also means that these invisible blocks can be identified and transformed. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to go through this for the rest of your life. This is not a fixed sort of situation where you are just stuck. It's not that at all. And we have very potent methods that we can utilize to help you move past this swiftly. For me, I'm all about giving you tools that you can use ahead of the event. So you're probably going to need to listen to this more than once or take notes so that you are prepared when the time comes. Because as a keynote, as we've shared with you how to do that today, you can start to dismantle them with the strategies that we can share with you and that you've also observed here in today's talk. You don't, and I say with great certainty, you do not have to remain stuck. So I'm hopeful that this was helpful for you. I certainly enjoyed being a part of it. Thank you for joining me today for this episode. Drop us a rating or a review. It helps us to continue to grow the channel. Feel free to connect with us on Linktree. The link is available in the show notes. You are enough. You can do it. You are uniquely equipped to realize your goals. Till next time, keep pushing forward.